Does it matter when I press play?
No, I guess
No,
not.
you can just cut it off whenever. This is called warm-up.
Warm up. E-oo-ah-ee-ee.
Testing.
Yes, sir. Okay. Hello. Welcome to the Spin 70 podcast. We have taken a bit of a hiatus, but this is our first of a while. We are live.
Wow.
And we heard that too.
Live?
It's a Chanukah episode, and we have now done this thing where we have Mr. Alex Amchislavskiy. Did I get it right?
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Who's making his second appearance.
He's making his second appearance, and this is turning into a holiday thing. Last time we did Sukkot. Now we're doing Chanukah.
And last time we did whiskey and pickles, and now we're doing beer, coffee, and olives.
Yes, sir. Thank you for... That's why you're here.
That's for the listeners.
It's for the listeners.
Not exactly.
Did you get it?
I still got it. Just go. Okay, go ahead.
Anyhow, so thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
I want to start off by saying that Hanukkah is an odd holiday for me. I understand the story. I get it. Miracles. The flame or the oil lasted 8 days, right? I get all that. However, it's a holiday that I have issue connecting with. Maybe because it's not like any of the other holidays where you can kind of do whatever you want. It's normal days. It's just you're lighting a menorah. So it's difficult to connect. I mean, but what I recognized the last couple of weeks is I had this weird epiphany where I was like, I don't really connect to Hanukkah that much, but I always feel very spiritual around this year. I'm always figuring something out about myself. And I don't know if I want to say that has to do with the holiday itself, but I can tell you looking back that every Hanukkah, I don't connect fully to the holiday. Like I'm never in a huge rush to light the menorah. I light it, I move on with life. I don't like sufganiyot. Latkes are just okay. But the thing is, like, I always feel spiritually very strongly connected. I don't know what that has to do with, Hanukkah, but I'm sure it has something to do with this time of year and Hanukkah. It's definitely got nothing to do with Christmas, as much as I'd love to say it does. But I just wanted to start off by saying, like, for me personally, Hanukkah is a tough one. Last time we spoke, Sukkot was a tough one, but then I found my own kind of simplicity within it about living in the moment, kind of dealing with the intensity of the high holidays of Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and then Sukkot. You're like, after Yom Kippur, you're like, I want out, but you still got Sukkot, and Sukkot kind of gave us that opportunity of recognizing what living in the moment is. So maybe after my whole long little monologue here, someone could chime in and either give a personal opinion, as I see my brother bug out because he's like, oh God, I don't know how to follow that. Or maybe give me an idea of what it is that I'm feeling around this time of year.
Right. Well, Hanukkah could be a special time because, it's a dark time of the year.
In what sense is it dark?
Like, it's the shortest days of the year.
Right.
Oh, okay.
But it's also
literally dark.
It's dark. It's cold.
Yeah.
At least where we live. And I don't know, with a theme about light, when we're craving the light, I mean, daylight savings time is already taking an hour away from us unless you're up at the crack of dawn.
I like that
gives us an opportunity to extend the light a little bit.
Yeah, it's a nice way of looking at things.
So basically, what you're saying, as far as if I'm understanding correctly, you're saying that because it's cold, it's dark, it's shorter days, we're lost an hour. It's like our subconscious, or it's like Hashem's kind of telling us, like, there's some inner light within this darkness.
Mm.
And maybe that's that spiritual connection that I'm talking about. It's possible. Because the truth is, it's actually kind of interesting. As of late, I've been really on top of myself as far as getting tasks done, keeping consistency. I'm reading a lot, and I'm very on top of myself, and I'm doing a lot of really, really great things on a consistent basis. But obviously, you can't do everything perfectly. We're human beings. And from time to time, you have bad days. You wake up in the morning, you're just like, oh, this is not going to be fun. But I have been able to persevere through those days. Now, there are certain times where, I'm 28 years old, so I've had a good amount of bad days in my lifetime so far. And what I've recently learned, not recently, but about past couple of years, what I've learned is that when you have a bad day, because it's a bad day, those are the biggest times for growth. That's kind of where you figure out new things about yourself. You have epiphanies, or you have major breakthroughs within yourself and your own work ethic towards whatever it is that you're trying to do, so that those bad days are actually just as necessary as good days.
I had a interesting thought this afternoon, actually. I think my thought was this. My thought was that there's a difference between someone who has a bad day and someone who has bad things happen to them within a day. If you can go ahead and parse the bad from the good and really take the day as a whole, as opposed to, like, for instance, it's interesting, this past week's Parsha was Vayeshev. And there's a lot of interesting things about this Parsha. But one of them is that in every specific part of this story is a downturn, but in aggregate, the story is uplifting. Right? You have Yosef. He gets sold into slavery, then he goes to prison. Then you have Yehuda, who sleeps with his daughter-in-law and gets humiliated. And you have Yitzchak, Yaakov, who just falls into a deep mourning. And you have Ruvain, who gets admonished by his father. Nothing in this story by standing alone, nothing in this story actually is like a win for anybody in the story.
And it's ironic that it's around the same time of year.
Super ironic.
What would you consider, like you mentioned, that there's people have bad days and there's bad things that happen to you
in a day.
Some people think that when they have bad days that it's happening to them. There's a mentality about that. You know what I mean? I'm sure we've all been there.
Well, of course, yeah. When a bad day happens, a bad day happens to you for sure. But like,
what I'm saying is that, like, we're all not gonna have the best days, even if we're at our best self, whatever you want to call it. You're not gonna have good days all the time. And bad days are just bad days. Bad days are a result of burning out. Bad days are a result of lack of sleep. But it's not something happening to you. It's just something happening. So how can you discern what's happening to you and what's just happening?
So it's a change of psychology. It's from a passive to an active lens, because in one situation you're just sitting down and all of these things are just happening to you. It's just waves coming over you. In the other, it could still be unpleasant, but you're learning from each wave how to swim better, how to go farther, kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's actually really cool that I, just like on Sukkot, I kind of figured out like this whole living in the moment aspect. But now when you guys just brought home the whole, we lose an hour, it's darker, the days are shorter, things are a little bit more miserable. In places like where we are, it's cold. And ironically, my one thing for Hanukkah, and I'm going to say it again, is just that I feel spiritually uplifted. I feel like I'm figuring something out. I feel closer to who I want to be just on this holiday, even though I can't say I directly connect to this holiday. However, based off of what Yehuda said about the Parsha and how it's just about a bunch of really bad stuff happen to really good people, lighting the Hanukkah menorah in a sense is lighting is, I guess, our light in order to see through the darkness. Like on the most simplest aspect. I mean, I like to understand things on a more simple level. There's, you can go deep and deep and deep, but if you can't understand it simply, the deep just doesn't really make any sense. And the truth is that life in itself is it's really hard to navigate through life, especially when you're young, like the three of us. We, oddly enough, like we're at that turning point in the year where we just like, we're heading towards, like it's winter time. We're saying Mashiv V'rocha Moed HaGeshem. We're heading towards the end of that winter-ish, and the winter is kind of like this going through the hard times to prepare for the good times. And the Hanukkah menorah kind of is like the torch that leads us to the tunnel, through the tunnel, or at least through the rough part of the tunnel.
Yeah. I actually want to get your opinion on something.
Talk to me.
What is so significant, or what do you think the symbolic message behind the candles lighting for 8 days, staying lit for 8 days is all about, in your mind? Like,
Right.
you have the standard. It was 1 day's worth of oil. It takes 8 days to press the oil. But do you think there's a deeper message there?
There's probably a lot. I've definitely heard a few. I think a really interesting one is, well, look, the last time we were talking, it was Sukkot. And there is actually a deep connection between Hanukkah and Sukkot. They're both 8 days. And the Maccabees actually mirrored Hanukkah on Sukkot, because that year they didn't really get to celebrate. They were fighting, but then when finally they captured Yerushalayim again, and they were rededicating the temple, they mirrored it on the same holiday, because Sukkot is when both temples were originally inaugurated. And especially because that year the Jews didn't get to even celebrate Sukkot, and they're rededicating the temple anyways after they defeat the Greeks. I understand there was a deep connection there.
Yeah. Very nice. Can you explain to us what makes Hanukkah so special to you?
Well, I love Hanukkah.
Well, I honestly have a feeling that you love every holiday, but like as far as like on a personal level, what's the biggest thing that you get out of it personally for yourself?
Well, I mean, for me and my family, this was always my season, because I have my birthday. And
That's right. Happy birthday.
Thank you. And it's New Year's, and New Year's is really big with Russian Jews.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, the Jews really couldn't celebrate any holidays in the Soviet Union, but everybody could celebrate New Year's.
So they'd celebrate it all in one day.
Novi God, yeah, for everyone. Even the Christians, it was their day. For the Jews, it was their day.
Christians couldn't celebrate Christmas?
I think there were some times even when Christian holidays,
No kidding.
It was looked down upon.
Right.
Isn't Russia like they follow Catholicism?
So the
Christianity.
Bolsheviks, after the Bolshevik Revolution, like that's the huge sort of debating point between the Russian revolutionists and the Tsar. The Tsars were East Orthodox Christians, and the Bolsheviks were atheists.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I thought they were Catholics.
They were definitely harder on the Jews, that's for sure. But they did also prosecute, Muslims and Christians even. There were a lot of Christians, I think, who ran away to Siberia That was the only place they could get away.
Yeah, it wasn't easy to be a Christian.
So
in the
Orthodox,
Soviet
so
Union.
Orthodox Christians don't celebrate Christmas, or they do in just a different way.
Well,
They
they celebrate
do
on a different
now.
day. It's on like the 7th of January.
Oh, that's interesting.
They have
Okay.
a different calendar.
Oh,
so,
no way.
So oddly enough, this is for you as a Russian, this is like Hanukkah is really hits home.
Absolutely.
Because it's kind of the same thing. You're kind of being persecuted, not like you're not allowed to celebrate any of your holidays, and then everybody who wants to celebrate their holidays, Jews and Christians alike, will do their celebrating in private, quote unquote, on New Year's Eve. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the Russians did actually mirror their religion on the Greek tradition. You know, so they are kind of like a new Greece.
Yeah.
They saw themselves that way.
Did they?
Yeah.
I mean, you would know that, right?
I mean, so I just listened to a series of lectures on Russian literature,
Right.
and it ended with the communist literature and how communism destroyed literature, because what they tried to do was they tried to erase everything from before and create something new. And all the writers and what writers do, what artists do, is they confront things that are taboo. And you can't exactly confront things that are taboo
communism.
when you're part of a program and they're telling you this is the program you have to follow.
My brother's gonna perk up when I say this, but how does that fit with Dostoevsky then, if he was able to write his own literature?
So he was right before the Bolshevik Revolution. He started his life on as a pink tea socialist, which is, I mean, that's how the professor described him. Basically, he still believed in God, but he also believed in liberty. Now you have to understand, in Dostoevsky's time, there was no such thing as, equality versus it was either equality, it was either socialism or totalitarianism. There was nothing in between. So to be called a socialist in the 18 whatevers doesn't exactly, there's a huge chasm between socialism and totalitarianism. And towards the end of his career, he became a loyalist to the Tsarist regime, and his last two books, or his most famous books, his last two books, The Possessed and The Brothers Karamazov, are based on what would happen to Russia if a revolution was allowed to take place.
Okay. So Yehuda, for you, what do you get from Hanukkah?
It's not an easy holiday to observe, because especially for me, I can't remember a time when I didn't work on Hanukkah. But it's just a regular day for me, and it's
That's
a regular
my problem. Yeah.
It's a regular day for a lot of people, but I think that's the point. Like, it's the only holiday in the Jewish calendar where nothing grinds to a halt. You have to do everything that you usually do, and then you light the menorah. What I think is really interesting about that is, especially for our times, is that Hanukkah is about being allowed to be Jewish. Mm-hmm. And, this idea of, lighting our menorahs in broad daylight, or, in front of our windows for everyone to see without fear of retribution is a fairly new phenomenon. Like, Jews...
That's true.
That's true. And
things are changing, which is very weird to see.
Yeah, and it's a fairly new phenomenon, but more than that, it's really, this holiday is a holiday for the diaspora. It's a holiday all about continuing to show who you are not being afraid of what other people will think,
I like that.
and doing it within the normal confines of life. I came home from work, had dinner, lit the Chanukah menorah. Right? There's like almost no deviation in my life.
That's beautiful. That actually connects a lot to what I was saying. The menorah serves as the guiding light of being true to yourself,
Yeah.
not being afraid of who you are. That's really cool.
And what's really nice about what you just said is that it's kind of like a Ner Tamid, even though it's not, we don't light it every day, but it's been lit all over the world by Jews every year, and in a very mundane way, but for hundreds of years. We don't stop lighting the menorah. Doesn't matter how much snow there is or what we have going on that day.
Either way, it's getting lit.
Exactly.
Keeping the how do I say it?
It's like the torch.
Yeah.
Keeping the flame burning.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah.
So there's a few things that we learned here, I guess, from the three of us, which I think is really perfect, which is the fact that for me, I mean, I would say like honestly, we're not as lucky as you, where you can understand the importance of Chanukah on a very deep and personal level, which I mean is understandable for, you know, because it's a regular day and it's just like it's hard to connect in some way. Like even Shabbat, like even if you're not religious, Shabbat is Shabbat.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's a different day.
Absolutely. So ironically, like we started off with me saying that like I don't understand the holiday. I know the story, I know everything, miracles, 8 days, woohoo, great. But for me, I just feel, I have this spiritual feeling of understanding myself better. And Yehuda comes in and he says, well, the idea is that we have this, there's no busha, like we're not embarrassed to show who we are. Yeah, I'm lighting my menorah at my window. Yeah, I'm Jewish. Deal with it. And that's like, it's, no, we're good. He's just making spazzy faces. He's good. Anyhow, and I think he's good. Yeah, okay, fine. I mean, whatever. I got him. It's all good. And
All of these noises have to do with a baby in my brother's arm for those who are listening, which is everybody. Hopefully.
But basically, I find it to be very interesting. Like we all have three different perspectives, and we're able to bring those three perspectives, and actually they're fully connected, which is something that you don't really run into that often. Like you and your whole thing where you can understand the idea of not being able to celebrate or to be yourself, and that's kind of what Hanukkah is about. It's the idea of we had to light the menorah for 8 days, and we were in war, and the whole and the lighting of the menorah was commemorating us being who we are and keeping the torch lit. Whereas for me, it's more of a personal level where I'm kind of trying to just connect with myself, being a little more introspective, and Yehuda brings it home with the idea that you're literally allowing yourself, by lighting the menorah, to say, I'm not afraid of who I am. And I think that's a very important message. Don't really know where to take it from there, but I think it's an incredibly important message.
I mean, you know, we don't need to go long. If this is all that we need to say, then this is all we need to say.
Technically, yeah.
So like, we don't need to push it. Let's not.
Short and sweet can be good too.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Let's not try to do something that's unnatural.
I will. If anyone has anything else to say, I will end off by saying that when we were talking about Sukkot, like obviously we can understand the importance of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, right? It's Judgment Day and it's Repentance Day, big deals, and like we have this idea of where we are trying to better ourselves. Like right now we have the non-Jewish New Year. It's resolutions. Everyone said, how am I going to be better this year? We had it, and what I liked about our conversation last time we were talking about Sukkot is that I made a realization within myself that I said, there's how many holidays? There's like 7, 9, something like that.
It depends how you count.
It depends how you count. There's 7 or 9 holidays, and each holiday, in my opinion, if I'm not taking them, yeah, go ahead. 7 holidays.
Yeah, but do you count Yom HaAtzmaut?
No,
Do you count Shabbat every week? Like, there's a lot of different ways the math can go.
Okay, so there's like 90 holidays.
But think about that. That's 1 out of 3 days of the year.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's a lot of holidays.
Yeah, so what I'm trying to say is that my challenge for this year personally, when it comes to the holidays, is that there are certain holidays that I like, certain holidays that I connect with. I think that's the case with everybody. Mm-hmm. But what I realized with Sukkot, which is why I enjoy doing this with you specifically.
To be shot.
Yeah, okay. But I recognize that if there are certain ways that I can't connect with the holidays, and there are certain ways I'm not connecting with myself. And I think the overall theme is that we're trying to understand things on a very simplistic level. Because in my opinion, the simplest way of understanding things is, in my opinion, the more important ways of understanding things. And I like the idea that we are giving ourselves the option of recognizing that Sukkot is living in the moment, trying to understand what it's like to be in a sukkah and to live in a Jewish moment. And now we're kind of trudging through the year. And this is the rough part of the year where things are very uncertain and you're not so sure what's going on. And this is like that halfway point-ish where you're just kind of like, oh, what am I doing? Is it the right thing that I'm doing? And the menorah is serving as that guiding light to take us through that rough part.
You mean halfway between Sukkot and Pesach, or halfway between?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
No.
We're definitely not done with the year, but it's like that. It's like midterms. Let's just put it that way. Okay. That's what it is. It's like midterms, and the what?
You know, it's kind of funny. The last time we talked, we were all complaining about the holidays and how grueling it was to get through like 3 holidays or 4 holidays.
Now we're complaining there's none in the...
And now we're like in this long stretch of like no holidays, and we're like, oh my God.
That's true. I mean, I think that is the longest stretch without holidays.
Yeah, for sure.
So this is a Jewish proof of that we're gonna complain no matter what.
Yeah, no,
absolutely.
Jews complain. It's you can't avoid it.
But even actually, that's a very good point that you just make. If you think about it, whenever we make these New Year's resolutions, like after Rosh Hashanah, you say, "Oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that." Whatever it is, you make this own personal pact with yourself that you're going to fulfill X, Y, and Z. You're going to be a better person for this coming year.
Actually, you know, this is a great time to check in.
Check in what?
Like we all made resolutions. How's it going?
I'm doing pretty well.
Okay.
I can't really tell you off the top of my head what resolutions I would share.
You don't have to. Like,
but have you been resolute?
Have you failed any of them?
I mean, I fail all the time, but that's the beauty of it.
Have you given up on any of them?
I don't think I have.
I have.
I mean, I probably have. I will tell you this: it's been a while since we've recorded a podcast, so maybe that's considered giving up on something.
For sure.
Was that one of your goals?
Well, I mean,
it's part of the plan. There's an overall plan.
We had a deadline to reach multiple times, and we didn't reach it. That kind of sucked.
Yeah. But it's trial and error. Like I ironically, like what Yehuda had said. Yehuda had said that this is the longest time between holidays, and the winter is like the toughest part. Like, I don't want to say this, but oddly enough, I was I pretended to go.
By the way, this coffee is delicious.
It really is, yeah.
L'chaim, l'chaim. Happy Chanukah.
L'chaim.
Should be a year of light for all of us.
Amen. Wow, that's a good bracha. I don't want to say, this is kind of weird for me to say, but I was just kind of living in the moment. #Sukkos. And I was like, oh, people are selling Christmas trees. I never did that before. I want to go check this out. So I went to go check out the Christmas trees that they're selling.
It's a giant bundle of schach. They're selling it in the wrong season.
Exactly. But I was wondering to myself, I was like, what's the point of a Christmas tree? Why do they have a Christmas tree? I don't understand this. So I Googled it. I was like, okay, hey, Google. Okay, good. The phone didn't do it. It did. Oh, shut up. I was like, so I asked Google, I was like, what's the deal with the Christmas tree? Apparently the Christmas tree serves as a reminder of the summer, which is another way of explaining how difficult winters are. Like, it happens to be winters are difficult. It's not these days, but in the past, food was scarce,
Right.
you know, and you have to, it was all about making it through the winter. So the interesting thing is that this is the point in time where we feel less connected because it's the hardest part of the year. And that kind of, honestly, this is the first time I've been able to truly understand Chanukah on a personal level, because we all know hardship, and if there's any way that we can figure out how to measure that hardship, and the holidays serve as a way to measure that hardship. They serve as a way of saying, like, hey, it was difficult, but it's Hanukkah. Let's enjoy ourselves. Let's reflect. Let's try to figure out how we're making it through the rest of this winter. And I find that to be incredibly enlightening, actually. Thank you.
Yeah.
People.
I think one
So-
thing, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I have something to close us out with.
Okay, well, I wanted to build off your idea, and one of the things we were talking about during Sukkot is the way the holidays are kind of strategically placed around the year as guideposts.
Yeah.
And I like earlier, Yehuda, you were talking about the Parsha, and there is a really deep connection, I believe, between the Parshas that happen around this time and the season. Because in this month of Kislev, almost all of the Torah's parshas about dreaming happen. We have Yaakov's dream, we have Yosef's dreams, we have the Pharaoh's dream, we even have a butcher and a baker and a candlestick maker kind of thing, and there's something about that in the middle of the winter. I have this book by Rabbi Trugman, and he talked about this idea how when it's really dark in the winter, it's the season of dreaming, hibernating,
Yeah.
getting ready for the next curve, if that makes sense. So
Yeah. It's for building. I mean, when you're going through this is the rough part of the year, and the rough part of the year is where you build your character.
So every culture has motifs of death and rebirth. The Jewish one, the one that we get reminded of 3 times a day, is Machaye HaMesim. Right? There's a reason you say that 3 times a day, and I think that a lot of people tend to gravitate towards the whole Mashiach times thing a little too quickly.
right.
But I mean, you have 3 opportunities every day to be reborn, to be revived from the dead. Now, what does it mean to be dead versus alive? And I think what that means is that we're constantly dead and alive. We're constantly allowing things to get the better of us. And especially in this time of the year, it's very easy to allow these things to get the better of us. We're constantly allowing ourselves to get too high on the things that don't mean that much or shouldn't mean that much. And that is sort of that right now. What we're in is this long death. Like as a culture, as a species, we all have to sort of suffer through this.
It's easy to become a zombie in life.
Oh,
Yeah,
And
for
not
sure.
to appreciate each moment.
Yeah, personal anecdote. I've been exhausted since fallback. Like I cannot recover from it.
It's very interesting. Yesterday, as I was going on Colfax to the Hanukkah party, I saw on this one store spray painted, it said, "If you're breathing, you're blessed."
That's important.
And that moment to just think about that once in a while. That's what you're saying, Mechayim Hametim, and you can do it more than 3 times a day if if you're good.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's really important. Yeah, that's interesting. I really like where this is going, to be honest, because like I mentioned, I mean, the winter is difficult. Even when you're exercising, by the way, winter is bulking, summer is cutting. Everyone likes cutting. Everyone hates bulking.
I love bulking.
Well, it's because you're tiny. But the point is, is that bulking is not fun. You have to eat more food than you want to eat. You have to lift heavy weights. It's not fun. I mean, for hubris, it's great, but it's not fun. And it's kind of the same, like it's a cycle that we all kind of have to catch up to. What was I telling my brother? I was telling my brother yesterday we were going to the party. We were both having weird days. Like, we started off our day. We never do this, okay? So we're big Star Wars fans. So my father's like, I got you tickets to the Star Wars.
Speak for yourself.
I'm a big Star Wars fan. You still went to the movie.
Of course I
Use
did.
I
It's a
statements.
free movie. What am I?
I'm a big Star Wars fan. My little sister's a big Star Wars fan. The whole family went to the movie. We went to the movie at 9:30 in the morning.
Matinee.
Yeah, I don't know if that's is that matinee?
It's matinee.
Matinee's before. Okay, fine. So it's a Sunday. We all have things to do. He's busy. I'm busy, right? And I'm like, I have a whole list of things I want to do. I'm like, okay, after this movie, I got to go to the gym. I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to do that. And then there's a Hanukkah party. I better get most of it done before the Hanukkah party. Little did we know, we get there. Trailers are a half hour. Movies 2.5 hours. We just bombed 3 hours. 3.5 hours, something like that.
Probably more because we had to get ready. We had to wait.
Yeah.
We had to,
Take the dog for a walk. Yeah, whole thing. So we get in there at 9:30. We're leaving. It's noon already. And it's like
12:30, yeah.
12:30.
We got
right.
home at like 1 o'clock.
The day's completely shot. And we're angry. We're angry, and this is the idea of a bad day.
They're probably hangry after a 3-hour movie.
Oh, yeah, I was hungry too.
But we were upset because it's just like I have all these things I want to do, and I don't have a lot of time to do it. And I'm speaking for myself because I don't know what my brother did, but
Nothing.
Okay, he did nothing. So I was like, okay, I don't have a lot of time. I'm not exercising today. I got to do everything else. And I did I did everything. I did everything I was supposed to do. And I was still feeling bad. I was being hard on myself. I was nasty to myself. And then when I finished everything that I was doing, I sat down and I was thinking. I journal, so I was journaling because I was like, I'm not having a good day, so I got to work it through. And then I realized, okay, wait a second. It's all about clearing my head. That's basically the trick. The trick is understanding how you can best clear your mind. And when we're dealing with the winter time, and we're dealing with the difficulties of the winter time and the difficulties of the things that we're working through, because we're at that rough part where we're starting a new habit, and this is the time where it becomes hard because the days are shorter, it gets dark, it's cold, you don't want to do anything. Like right after this, I'm supposed to go to the gym. Will I go? I probably will go.
You're going. You're already dressed in your gym clothes.
Yeah, I'm dressed.
And you had a coffee.
And if I don't go, I'm going to be really upset. But the point is that I'm going. And I realized, okay, I have to prepare myself mentally for this party. I don't want to be like a sourpuss at this party, just for myself personally. And then I realized, oh, wait a second. I do all these little practices to clear my mind. I did all of these things. Boom, boom, boom. I knocked them out, crossed them off the list. What do I have to be upset about? I've seen everything through to the end. And this was a rough, rough day. And it served as a reminder to me of I just reminded myself why I'm doing all of these things. I reminded myself what I do to get myself prepared to do the things that I want to do. And it helped me. It helped me understand that it helped me understand rough times on a better level. We all understand rough days, but we can always claim that we understand it. I could say that I understand it better now, but it's still going to be my worst enemy, just like it will anybody else. And the only thing I can really control is what I see, hear, feel, taste, touch, whatever it is.
I would argue with that. You don't control those things. You control how you act about those things.
Correct.
Right.
I mean, yeah, I can only control my own actions towards whatever's happening. But this Hanukkah kind of serves as a way for us, again, with using the guiding light to get us through the rough parts of the journey. But it also serves as a way for us to be like, this is a tough time. It was a tough time for the Jews. That's why we're celebrating this holiday. We have to recognize that lighting the menorah is symbolic towards us getting through those tough times and seeing things through to the end.
All right.
Done talking.
Good. So, I want to close it out with a poem.
Okay.
It's actually a song, but I'm just going to read it as if it's a poem, and I know you've heard the beginning of it. And it is a Christian poem, so, brace yourselves.
Okay.
It's by, it's called Christmas Carol by Gustav Holst and Harold Drake.
Okay.
In the bleak midwinter, frosty wind made moan. Earth stood hard as iron, water like a stone. Snow had fallen, snow on snow, in the bleak midwinter, long ago. Our God in heaven cannot hold him, nor earth sustain. Heaven and earth shall flee away. When he comes to reign in the bleak midwinter, a stable place sufficed. The Lord God incarnate, Jesus Christ. Enough for him whom cherubim worship night and day, a breast full of milk, a manger full of hay. Enough for him whom angels fall down before, the ox and ass and camel which adore. Angels and archangels may have gathered there, cherubim, seraphim, thronged the air. But his mother only, in her maiden bliss, worshipped the beloved with a kiss. What can I give him, poor as I am? If I were a shepherd, I would bring a lamb. If I were a wise man, I would do my part. Yet what can I give him? Give my heart.
Okay.
It's
What's
so.
the connection to Hanukkah?
So I mean, this is the Christmas idea, and I know this is an unpopular opinion to have as a Jew, but I kind of like Christmas. The reason is because it's all about the culmination, and it takes place in the bleak midwinter, and this is a common thread throughout both Judaism and Christianity, and I just thought that it was apropos.
Really?
You didn't? No thoughts? That was just me?
Explain it.
I mean, why is it that, according to historians and probably to Christians, Jesus wasn't born on the 25th of December.
Okay.
Right? It's the winter solstice.
Okay.
Right? It's pagan holidays, cross-cultural, right?
From where the Christians moved?
Yeah, every culture celebrated the winter solstice, and Christianity took that day over as the birthday of Jesus, even though it's in June.
And that has to do with Hanukkah. How?
Because there's a reason why there's a midwinter holiday known as Hanukkah, and there's a reason why there's a midwinter holiday known as Christmas. It's because Christianity mirrors Judaism, and there's a huge significance in having some kind of guiding light in the blink midwinter, right?
Yeah. I like that.
It's true.
Thank you for explaining that.
I thought you guys would have more to say. That's my bad.
No, I mean, no, that was good. I liked that. The bleak midwinter. That's the theme of what we're talking about here.
Yeah. All right.
Do you have anything else to add, or shall we close it out?
Final thought.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it was very interesting. We brought up the Soviet Union earlier, which was also a bleak winter.
Of course. Long winter.
Long winter for a lot of Jewish people.
And a Cold War.
Yeah, Cold War. There was a lot of parallel to the Greek world, the Greek regime. The Soviet system had a lot of parallels over there, and I think one of the big ones was that the Soviet system was very philosophical and very methodical, thought out. There was this whole Marxist ideology, how you get from A to Z, and all of these things happen in order, and it's a natural evolution of society to take society to a better place. But at the end of the day, it was missing something. And I think one of the big themes about Hanukkah is that what's missing is that, you know, the Greek Soviet systems can be very methodical, thought out, but they're missing what we call morality, you know, and maybe what we call a system of values, something like that. And that contributed to what made those times very dark for the Jewish people, because it just, when you're like killing people to destroy a society, something's going wrong. Like the way the Soviet system was functioning was they were killing these people to make these people happy. Like the system was just breaking down. And
have you ever read the Gulag Archipelago?
No, I've definitely heard of it. It's very famous writings. I know they did send my grandfather to the Gulag, so it was a very real thing. That was a bleak winter in Siberia for sure. But there's something about Hanukkah where it's 8 days, and that's one of the connections we were talking about with Sukkot. There is this idea that like seven. With Jewish philosophy, 7 represents a normal order, and 8 is this next supernatural.
Yeah.
Exactly. And maybe that's what represents the values or the moralities you need in a society, so that there isn't the Cold War, there isn't that cold Gulag Archipelago of a society. It's missing something. It's just on that 7th level. It's just rational. It's super rational, and it needs something outside of that, where we step away and we like, this is great what we're building, but what is the goal that we're trying to get to, and how are we going to get there? How are we going to treat each other on the way? How are we going to work together to get there? I think that could be a very powerful message.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it serves as like, it's the main theme. It's the guiding light. Yeah.
Although, you know, not to throw a rock at the ending of this podcast, but a lot of people were killed for not doing what, say, the Maccabees thought they should do.
Yeah.
So
We don't talk about it. A lot of the fighting that happened with the Maccabees, there was a civil war going on between the Jewish people. This really was a big conflict between the Jews, how to move forward.
Yeah, that's true. Some people wanted to work
assimilate.
some people wanted to assimilate, and some people were like, nah.
Yeah. And in my history class, and back when I was in college, the professor talked about the Chanukah story and called the Maccabees the Zealots, who were terrorists. You know,
Basically.
for
Yeah.
political reasons, he said it that way.
Well, you know, when you go to college, that's generally what happens.
Yeah, I really appreciated it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, craziness. But about that whole killing people for a cause, I just read a book called The Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell.
Oh, I love Malcolm Gladwell.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
But in that book, he talks very briefly about the school shootings epidemic. And it really, really made me think. And I'm still thinking about it because I just finished it. But it's, what he says is that there are ideas that are like viruses, actually, he says all ideas are like viruses.
The way they spread and
Yeah, and what happens is people become immune to them eventually. His example was emails. He said back in the early 90s, if you got an email or if you
everybody
had
would
email,
open every email.
you'd open every email, you'd write long messages back, right?
Uh-huh.
Now you don't open every email. You open like one of every 50, say.
Yes.
And your message is like maybe a couple of sentences, and it takes you like 3-4 days to get back to the person. So he's like, that's the same thing as developing an immunity. You're just bombarded until you're immune. And this is something that I've been puzzling with for this today, because I just finished the book, so I don't. But yeah, do people have to die?
The rabbis also struggle with this.
Yeah.
With Hanukkah, they didn't know how to deal with Jewish warriors winning a war. There was death in there. It's like that's hard to deal with.
Yeah, it's always been a confusing thing to me. Like half of the Torah is about Jews killing people, but it's not something that you ever discuss. It's like, all of Yehoshua is all about conquering the land of Israel. So like, yeah, it's really strange.
Well, I'm sure as we move on to the new holidays, the answers will be unlocked.
Hopefully.
Because I think that we were able to connect our last episode about Sukkot to Hanukkah, just like Sukkot connects to Yom Kippur, which connects to Rosh Hashanah. So I really like this theme that we're doing, where we're kind of bringing all the holidays together. It's very important for me personally, as much as I think it's important for you guys. And I truly, truly, truly appreciate it.
And the next holiday is about a war anyway. So
Purim.
Yeah.
Purim. My
We do have
birth.
Tu B'Shvat.
That's my birthday, Purim.
Yeah.
My Hebrew birthday.
Tu B'Shvat. Tu B'Shvat's before Purim.
Okay, Tu B'Shvat. That's with the fruits and stuff.
Yeah. That'll be a really
That's a good
interesting
one. Yes,
one, because I don't know anything.
But now
about
we know
that
we're
one.
going to be eating at that one.
We can have a little Seder.
Yeah, we'll have
Okay.
a little Seder. That'll be perfect. We'll have a little Seder. We'll do some Shechianus. That's going to be good.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's a great way to like go from the guiding light of Hanukkah through the bleak winter,
Bleak midwinter.
the bleak midwinter onto the newness of fruits. That'll be good. I like that.
It's changing. The seasons are changing soon.
Things are twisting.
And this is why we need to stay positive.
Absolutely.
Even when it's a bleak winter.
We got to stay together.
So I think we're gonna start off our next podcast with positivity, because I have questions.
About positivity?
Yes.
Okay, make a note of that.
Yeah, I will. No, don't worry.
In any sense, thank you. This was awesome. It was kind of a late night, but we made it work.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
We got a good just over 50 minutes.
Wow.
And
Weren't we closing out around 30?
that was my guess, but I knew it was going to go further than that. I just, I saw your red eyes and I was like, he's tired. I'll just tell him a number. But thank you. This was awesome because truthfully, you have allowed us to deeply speak about things that we struggle with. I personally struggle with. I love being a Jew. I'm a spiritual Jew, but I have some difficulty connecting to certain holidays, and this really allows us to have a space to really discuss these things that people are afraid to discuss, in my opinion. I would be afraid to discuss this with anyone because I'd go to someone and, Rabbi, what's Hanukkah? You don't know what Hanukkah is? It's like it's already too much anxiety. So
Just imagining the scene.
yeah.
Well,
But I really do appreciate it, and we're going to do Tu B'Shvat, we're going to do Purim.
Beautiful.
It'll be good. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you for your little Christian poem, Yehuda.
Yeah, I know. I'm probably gonna get flack for that, right?
Probably
Chag
not.
Sameach to all the listeners out there.
Chag Sameach,
Yes.
indeed.
Happy Hanukkah, and get
Chag
eat greasy
Sameach
food.
to Alex's mother.
Yeah.
And adios.
Eat greasy food.
It'll be real. All right, bye.
Ah!